The video you're about to see might have to do with music theory. Don't worry, it's way simpler than you think, I promise you. Let me prove it to you with my free Music Theory DNA course, which is going to put you on the right path to learning those hard to understand concepts in a super easy and healthy way. Check out guitarinfusion.com, enter your best email address. I'll be sending you that free course right away. But for now, let's get into the video. Music is awesome. It's a blend of a lot of different things. Today we're going to take a look at chords and melodic movements to create something new, hopefully. We're also going to look at music theory. How come different chords work together? It's really simple. Grab your guitar. I'm going to show you exactly how it's done. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to create new things that you haven't played before if you follow the super simple steps, which we'll get into right after this. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players like you find your voice on the instrument, develop it to tell your own personal musical story. And today, we're going to take a look at chords, multiple notes played at the same time. There are beautiful chords, and there are other types of chords. And these chords, these notes together, create something. They trigger emotions in the listener. Now, that emotion is going to be different from person to person, depending on what you grew up listening, depending on your mood of the day, depending on all those things. But you just need to be aware that they create different things. And the reason is because intervals. What is an interval? An interval is the distance between two notes. If I play a note by itself, any note on the fretboard, that's just a sound. Now, if I play that note in relation to something else, that note becomes something, right? Now, if I play a different note over the same pad that you hear in the back, then you'll have another type of emotion, right? Okay, super simple. So why do some notes seem to work better than others? Well, it's all about context. And again, I'm going to make some generalizations here. It really is going to depend on your background, your musical background. But I'm coming here with the perspective of someone who grew up listening to Western music. If you grew up listening to Eastern music, the system is different. It's based on quarter steps, which is a smaller interval. The smallest interval we have here in Western music is the half step on the guitar. That's 2 frets apart. But there are multiple notes in between, right? When you bend, you're hearing all those notes, and different cultures are more tuned to those. So I'm going to consider Western music here. So we're accustomed to hearing different things work together, and that kind of inspires us the same emotional response each time. That's why you often hear people say that a minor chord sounds sad, a major chord sounds happy. I never really liked that. I think it's a personal thing, but I get it. All right, so with that system in Western music, chords are always linked, extracted to a scale. When I say always, I don't mean always. I mean when you want that chord to make sense to people. Not always, because I could play something like this, a series of chords like this. Those are chords, but they don't really trigger that emotional response. So we're going to take a look at the proper, quote unquote, proper way to do that. And for that, we need to start with a scale. A scale is going to give us the possible notes. Now, I don't like to make generalizations because I think music is about freedom and you can break those rules. But if you want to sound the most appealing to other players or other listeners, you need to have that established. So we're going to start with a scale, and we'll start with a major scale, an A major scale, for example. So an A major scale is made of 7 notes. Each of these notes have a different function. We have the first note, which is the root. That's the note that tells us that, okay, everything I'm going to play from now on is going to be attracted to that, whether you hear it or whether you just hear it first and kind of always go back to that, so that you have that locked in your mind. So you have the first, the root, the second, the major third. That's what tells us if it's a major scale or a minor scale. The fourth, fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and that's it. Those are the 7 notes. So that's what is, we refer to this as the formula of a scale, the blueprint. That's what gives us the setting, the mood of the story. Where is that story happening? Is it in a desert? Is it on an island? Is it on a spaceship? That's kind of how I like to see that. So these notes, 7 notes, can be played in multiple areas on the fretboard, right? We can play the same exact pitch. See, I can play this root, low E string, 5th fret, but also 5th string open, same pitch, but you also have octaves, and an octave is the same note, but played higher or lower, but it has the same exact function, right? So we have 7 notes that we can spread across the fretboard. Now, when building a musical story, we're going to use that principle where those chords and the scale, the setting of the story, are going to be together, are going to be linked together. Now, that doesn't mean that you can take your story somewhere else. That happens all the time in music, in movies, in books, right? And that's changing a scale, changing the mood. But for now, we're going to consider that we're in the same setting, and that's the A major scale. So we're going to tell a story with different characters. Each of these notes can be seen as characters, and we can group these characters together. They're going to be in the same story, the same plot of the story. They're going to have different functions, but they will work together. That crew of characters will work together. So we're going to try that on the instrument. To help us, we're going to establish the foundation. That root in A, because we decided that would be in A, is going to be heard throughout. So anything we play is going to be attracted to that, okay? So I'm going to visualize a narrow area of the fretboard. I could do whatever I want, obviously, but I'm going to use this area of the fretboard. Okay, and I'm just going to select some notes. Any note. This one, and this one. They're part of my scale. Why these? Because I want to. Now that's a chord. That group of characters, there are 3 characters. You don't even need to know what they are as long as you follow this scale. But in this case, we have a major third, we have a 5th, and a 2nd. That's a chord that is attracted to my root. Now, that chord alone, that also works, but there's no real context. We don't really know the context. This will help us know that that is the context. Now, I can pick other notes. Maybe I could pick this. These work too because they're part of my major scale, right? And as you go, as you visualize your scale, you're going to be able to make new shapes like that. not limited to two chords. You can also play one note after the other. Every once in a while, play several ones at the same time. Anything I play is attractive to that. Even the bad notes, when I say bad, I don't mean bad, but when I change the setting of the story, it's still attracted to that. You heard the shift, right? We're in this zone right here. Right, that's the story so far, no surprise. Now, we're in somewhere else. And so forth. So the main idea to take out of this is that chords and scales are linked together if you want to create a story that is coherent, that people are going to understand. Now, you can, of course, do whatever you want. You can build a story that jumps from this group of characters here. They're on a desert island, whatever you imagine. And then suddenly, at the same time, there's something else happening, but you don't really know what's happening, you know, how both stories are linked together. That's done a lot in movies, right? Parallel stories, where you have like this group of characters on the island, at the same time, this group of characters on the airship, on a spaceship, you know, going to the moon or whatever. It might sound something kind of like this. So here are my characters on the desert island. Okay. They're actually kind of happy to be there. Right? But at the same time, there's this thing happening on the moon. Different story. Back to the island. You get familiar with both. That's the spaceship. Back to the island. So there's two stories until you try to blend them together somehow. That's the main idea today, to explore how chords are linked to scales, how really, if you extract from a scale a chord, it's going to tell a coherent story. And it's a very fun exercise. It engages your ear because you're hearing, well, obviously what you're playing, but also trying to be careful to stay in the same setting. And if you stay enough in that same setting, your ear is going to really tune in to the color of the scale or the story that you're telling. And that's really important. Now, you guessed it, those story plots are keys, scales, modes, but I feel that the vocabulary often hinders the learning process. And if you can simplify that, see scales as alphabets, see moods and colors as story plots, all that is going to be simplified. It's all about telling your story, and those are just the tools that you can use to express yourself. And that's what this channel is all about. To help you work on all this, I prepared for you a free downloadable pack with pedals just like this one, where you can kind of explore what's going on the fretboard. Also, I'm going to include some charts, PDF charts with some scales that are mapped out all over the fretboard for you. You can do that, and it's really going to help you understand that and make it your own and tell your own story. Be creative with that. In order to get this free downloadable pack, visit the link below. It's completely free. All you need to do is enter your best email address, and I'll be sending you those assets right away via email. And if this was your first visit, thank you for checking out this video. I hope you learned something. And if you liked what you saw, you should subscribe, because every single week, 3 videos like this one come out, helping guitar players like you find your unique voice on the instrument and tell your own musical story. Remember, it's not the pencil that tells the story, it's the author. It's not the guitar that tells your beautiful musical speech, it's you. Master this. Don't let this master you. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching that. I'll see you next time. Practice well.